Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. Over the last few weeks, Chinese AI companies have made significant advances, with startups like ZAI and Moonshot AI releasing open source models that are reportedly approaching the capabilities of leading American systems. That has triggered a major debate inside Silicon Valley and now inside Washington. On one side, companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are warning that some Chinese AI systems may have benefited from improperly extracting capabilities from American models. Their argument is that open access to powerful AI systems creates national security risks, especially if adversaries can use those tools for military, intelligence, or cyber purposes. On the other side, companies like Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Meta, IBM, and a large number of startups argue that open source AI is exactly what has driven technological innovation for decades. Their argument is that locking everything down could actually hurt American competitiveness by slowing development and concentrating power among only a few companies. And this debate has some serious heavyweight names involved. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang said the world needs both closed and open AI models. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella backed open source development. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Sundar Pichai also supported keeping open models available. The interesting part is that this is not just a Silicon Valley argument anymore. It has moved directly into the national security arena. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration has considered sanctions against companies involved in stealing American intellectual property. Presidential science advisor Michael Kratsios warned that covert industrial efforts to extract American AI capabilities are unacceptable. The challenge for Washington is finding the balance. The U.S. wants to protect its technology edge without accidentally slowing down its own innovation engine. It is a little like trying to win a race while also deciding how many rules the race should have. The answer matters because whoever dominates AI will likely have advantages across intelligence, defense, manufacturing, cyber operations, and the global economy. Now, while AI is the headline strategic competition, China is also continuing to increase pressure around Taiwan. Beijing's approach remains focused on what many analysts describe as gray zone coercion. That means applying pressure below the level of open conflict while creating new facts on the ground, or in this case, on the water. Chinese Coast Guard vessels have expanded activity around Taiwan's eastern waters, an area that would be critical if Taiwan needed outside assistance during a crisis. Taiwanese officials are now planning for scenarios where China could attempt to restrict shipping, interfere with commercial traffic, or create an energy blockade. That planning is not theoretical. Taiwan depends heavily on imported energy, including natural gas. Officials are examining options such as additional storage capacity, floating LNG facilities, and emergency supply routes. They are essentially asking, if Beijing tried to squeeze the island without launching a full invasion, could Taiwan keep the lights on and the economy running? At the same time, China continues to train for more extreme scenarios. Reports based on satellite imagery indicate that the PLA has built replicas of Taiwan's presidential office, government facilities, naval bases, and even foreign military targets. These types of mock-ups are not unusual in military training, but the scale and specificity are what stand out. The message appears to be that China is preparing for highly tailored operations, including potential strikes against specific locations and a possible seizure of political centers. That fits into a broader pattern we have seen from Beijing over the last several years, combining military modernization with psychological pressure. The goal is not just to build capability, it is also to convince Taiwan, the US, and regional partners that China has options. That same pressure campaign is playing out in the South China Sea. The US, Japan, and the Philippines recently completed 5 days of maritime exercises designed to improve coordination among the three countries. The drills included naval vessels, Coast Guard ships, aircraft, communications exercises, and replenishment operations. The timing was important. These exercises came after another series of confrontations between China and the Philippines, including disputes around Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal. Manila accused Chinese forces of aggressive actions, while Beijing blamed the Philippines for provoking incidents. China responded by conducting its own air and naval patrols in the South China Sea and warning against outside involvement. The broader issue is that these encounters are becoming more frequent and more complex. The risk is not necessarily that every interaction leads directly to conflict, but that repeated close encounters create more opportunities for miscalculation. China is also deepening military coordination with Russia. A joint China-Russia naval patrol moved through waters around Japan after completing the joint C-2026 exercise. Beijing highlighted the operation as evidence that the two navies can operate beyond traditional defensive zones and challenge what China calls attempts to contain it. For Japan and the US, the message is clear. China and Russia want to demonstrate that they can coordinate and operate in strategically important maritime areas. Beyond military issues, Beijing is continuing a diplomatic push aimed at expanding influence across the global south. Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva about strengthening cooperation in areas including artificial intelligence, energy, minerals, and trade. Xi emphasized BRICS cooperation and a larger role for developing nations in shaping global governance. China is also positioning itself as a diplomatic player in Middle East tensions. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and called for renewed negotiations over Gulf tensions and issues involving the Strait of Hormuz. Beijing continues presenting itself as a stabilizing power and an alternative diplomatic partner outside the US-led system. At the same time, there are areas where Washington and Beijing still cooperate. China's Ministry of Public Security said Chinese and U.S. law enforcement agencies have worked together on narcotics cases, online fraud networks, and fugitive repatriation. Those areas remain narrow, but they show that even intense competitors still maintain some practical channels. And finally, a quick domestic note from China. Typhoon Newell made landfall in southern China and became the strongest storm to hit the country so far in 2026. Hong Kong canceled around 360 flights, and powerful winds caused scaffolding to collapse from a multi-story building in the city. No injuries were reported. That's it for today's tour through the world's least relaxing headlines. If this was useful, leave a review or comment. For the deeper dive, head to restrictedhandling.substack.com. Stay sharp.